Alright, welcome back everyone to the Sanctum. This is AL and Shango, as you can tell from the big furry thing over here. Today we're going to look at the Thoth deck by Aleceister Crowley. I know some people are like, oh my god, Satanism. No. Although he kind of lived up to that loveliness in some ways, no. He was actually a member of the Golden Dawn. He became a member of his own order. I love this card. It's actually one of the extra cards that they provide you. One of the pictures that were done specifically for the deck extra, which I think is most outstanding. It's one of my favorite, I think. It's part of the Order of the Temple of Orientis, which is basically the order he founded. Lovely Mr. Aleceister. But I wanted to go over this deck. I have friends who own this deck. There's two versions. There's the large version and the small pocket version. I have the pocket version. The large version is huge, long like my Scalpini deck that are having there. And we're gonna go through the cards, and I wanted to show them because they are beautiful in their own way. Lady Frida Harris is the one that made them. As you can tell here, the back of the deck is interesting, more use of color, with its own kind of cross of sorts. But we're looking, when you look at the actual pictures themselves, we're looking at something that is completely and utterly different. So I wanted to go through that. All right, you dog, why do you have to make your home of where I'm at when I do this every time out here? Because mommy, it's what I do. Of course it is. So the first thing we're going to talk about, is the Magus, which is the first card. Now the Magus is, as we know, the magician. And it's interesting because you'll see that it'll say trumps in the background of this here, but the overriding part is there for you. And it shows these beautiful pictures, and they're kind of like lush, but self-figured art of them all. And they have different, they do have the Hebrew on there. They also have the astrological signs on there as well. The Empress. The Emperor, which actually looks like a suit deck from a card, instead of playing cards. The Hierophant, which actually is, I think, is one of my favorite, the way it looks, the color scheme and stuff. The Magus is actually a lot of people's favorite. It is probably the most familiar of the decks cards. It gets seen most often. This is the Chariot, which I thought was really unusual. Reminds me of Aries running to war. So it's unusual. This is Adjustment, or Justice, as we even know it within the tarot community. And this is the Hermit. Now, this deck is from US Game Systems, so the cards are a little bit thinner, but they are still good stock. They'll hold up. And this is the Wheel of Fortune, which I think is pretty good. Then we get into, once we get past Universe, then it gets to the Full. So they put the Full into like the last position, but it's still the 0 card. Then you get into things like the Ace of Wands, the Two of Wands, which they call Dominion. And they actually give you like little names for each card. So it's kind of like a reminder. Hey, this is what this is. Hey, this is a reminder of what the keyword for this is. Which is kind of a nice difference from the RWS, the Rider-Waite-Smith decks. Which I think is probably one of the reasons why those who actually do the Thoth deck, actually enjoy it to some level. One, there's a little deeper meaning to it. You do actually can find on every one of those you have to look. You will find upon it a sign, a symbol, which, like, see there, it looks like a 4. It's not. You'll find different symbols within each deck, which you for different meanings, like you'll find feminine, you'll find Leo, and those things actually make a difference. And knowing what they mean and how they go, it does make a change. So, like when you get to the discs, like this is the Two of Orbs or Two of Discs, which I think is actually pretty cool. I actually like the look. I still prefer the one over on the Spirit Keepers deck better. Even though it's black and white. Nah. So there. So, like, Seven of Discs is failure. And it looks like failure. All of it, but here's the kicker. If you look close at the colors, the blues and the purples, I like that color texture. I love this. And then you see that there are symbols built into the centers of it. So it's more than just failure. It's telling you that there's a deeper hidden meaning to your failure. Is it self-failure? Is it failure for your business? Is it a failure for how and what you're doing? So there's different things for that. So there's, it really depends on what you're looking at. So I wanted to show these to you because there's so similarities there. There's different similarities, like the swords, the Prince of Swords versus the Princess of Swords, the Prince of Swords, the Queen of Swords, the Knight of Swords. So instead of pages, you got princess. And when you get to cups, you have the Five of Cups, which is disappointment. Six of Cups, which is pleasure. And the cup cards are actually something that really is unusual, and I think looking at them is kind of a unique situation, like the Princess of Cups. When you look at that cup, when you look at that picture, you're like, what the heck? And then you realize that there's more to the concept than then you realize of how they went through it. And you realize that they worked 5 years on this deck. Lady Frida and Aleceister Crowley. When you realize that Waite and Pixie Coleman Smith did the tarot deck that a lot of us work with, the RWS, in less than a year, almost in a frenzy. But it has become one of the best-selling decks in the world. The basis for so many. You realize that the Thoth hack actually is one of the other best-known systems. So they're going to be based on 1 and 2. Now, and yeah, I've kept all these nice and neat until I get to meet and talk to you all. I'll showcase my cards, except for a couple of decks that are in my pick card readings. I wanted to talk about it because sometimes frenziedness doesn't begat bad, and sometimes carefulness and taking yours doesn't beget bad either. Each deck has its own benefits. Each deck has its own moments of glory. When you're taught one way and then you relearn another way, you take the best of both worlds. And I think that's one of the reasons why I love the Spirit Keeper so much, is that it takes both from both sides of the decks, combines them in a harmony that I find totally reasonable. But even better, gives me even a better depth of who I am personally. And I find it easier to read from just looking at them, looking at the deck. There are moments that I look at it and go, no, this is what I'm feeling, but this is not what the card means, but it's what I'm feeling about that card. But sometimes that's what that deck is supposed to do. With the Thoth deck, what I'm finding is when I do use it, is it can be very spot on. Occasionally though, is not that it misses, but it picks up on things that I'm not necessarily thinking about. So that's a difference that I've been noticing in regards to the deck itself. It's not a bad thing. It's just it'll pick up on tangentials that I may be considering for the person. That they may be, I be like, hey, this is their main query, but they've also mentioned this. I'm kind of wanting to make sure that this is okay as well, blah, blah, blah. And that'll be the main thing that pops up as well. So it'll be a couple of things. So I wanted to showcase a bit of cards, and I shuffled really kind of hard here on these. So interesting. So we've got the Priestess. Go Priestess. Go Priestess. We got the Magus, a Magician, and we have the Two of Wands, Dominion. All right, so intriguing. Now I know what my mental reading of the deck usually goes. Whenever I hit this point in my brain, and I already know what my brain is saying about the deck, it's saying about these cards, is like, yeah, okay, so we're gonna be doing pretty interesting stuff over the next few days. Great, not too bad, not too shabby. Although the Dominion part is not cool, it means that I'm gonna have to deal with a couple of things that I'm not going to want to. Issues that I thought were dead and buried, but obviously not. So let's talk about it. It does come with a little white book. Now, this little white book is interesting because it is not the big, huge volume that you can read. If you get a chance, go online and actually read the book about the Thoth that Crowley actually wrote. It's actually intense, it's deep, but yeah, this is all basically what we're looking at right now. Is we're looking at change. Change is coming. Now, if you've been watching any of my readings, this has been a big thing for the last 2 months. I'm telling you, we're going into a change cycle like nobody else has seen or heard before. But it's not just change. It's about increasing and decreasing fluctuations of change. So some of this change is going to be good. Some of the change is going to be bad. But it's change, people. Change, change, change. If you can't roll with change, you're going to have problems over the next few months. And I'm going to be the first person to tell you, I live with change all the freaking time at work, which drives me batty. However, I've learned that change is not necessarily a bad thing until it is. But I've also learned that change is good, especially when you can actually enact good change within yourself. Take what you can, let go whatever you can't. Whatever doesn't resonate, whatever doesn't work. Because right now, in the heart of the darkness, in the heart of winter, if you're here in the North America, Europe, part of the northern half of the continental part of the earth, it is winter for you. You need to let it go. If you are in the southern, it is time to figure out what to keep, and keep it tight and build on it. Build on the things that you've decided to keep and work on those factors. That's the change you're wanting to become. And we're looking at the Magus. And with the Magus, we're looking at things of like skill and wisdom. Oh my God. Like, what was I telling you about? Working on things you want to keep. We're looking at that as well. And I mean, that is one of the biggest things that I will tell you that do come up a lot. Now, about Dominion. Now, what you may or may not know, and this is actually something I do know because I actually had one of these at one point. These are Tibetan dorjas. Daggers. They're known for destruction purposes. So what we're looking at here is the fact of you're looking at the idea of whatever we're looking at for Dominion is a first step of the creation process, because we're going to destroy stuff first. So you're looking at getting rid of whatever you got to get rid of, because break it down, get rid of it, because you're going to have to build new stuff. So yeah, we're looking at more change, more bloody change. Just when you thought you might be out of change, no, it draws you back in. Because why? Every single deck, I'm not joking, every single deck, every reading I've done lately has been nothing but change. This is the Thoth Tarot deck, Aleister Crowley. Do I recommend it? Yeah. Do I recommend it for just anybody? Yes and no. Here's my deal. If you're not comfortable with the Rider White Smith version, if you find that that deck is a little too, not cutesy, because that's not the word I'm looking for. If you find that it's a little not as elemental as you need, if you like things like using the Kabbalah, using higher wisdom aspects, more so than normal, then I would recommend this deck. Highly would recommend this deck. If you want to have a different take upon the tarot that's similar but yet different in the scope, I would definitely get the Thoth as a counter to the Rider-Waite. They complement each other. Now, here's the thing. Waite and Crowley will tell you that no such terms do they ever, complement each other. But they can kiss my ass in no certain bloody terms. They do. The two men were in the same order for many, many years. They work. They work well. But I'm going to tell you, this is definitely more in-depth. If you start on the Thoth, it's probably easier for you to take to the Thoth. You develop a different kind of layered reading skill. If you start with the Rider-Waite Smith reading and go to the Thoth, you may struggle for a little bit, but then you learn to blend the two, and vice versa. But there is a learning curve either way you go. So yeah, go for it. Get it. I would recommend that you have at least a deck of each. Use one for more of your deeper work, one for everyday work. Honestly, truthfully, it's worth it. Why? Because I find that they both have their place within the world, when it comes to readings, when it comes to seeing things. Just like oracle cards. Oracle cards have their place within the world of cartomancy. I know some people don't like that, but yeah, too bad. Oh, I really don't care. But yeah, so this is the way I look at it. I look at it in terms of how, what, and what works. So go ahead, give it a whirl. Until next time, Bendithian.